Hi, folks. Welcome to Let's Just Go. This is Kevin and Casey's Modern Missionary Podcast, where we talk barbecue, ministry, theology, family, going on mission, just the whole spirit of going for it in life.
And we talk about our moves. And today,
let's tell people about our moves.
Not those kind of moves.
Okay.
But today we're talking about our move to Georgia. It is titled, What Getting to Here Looks Like.
That's a potential
title.
I like it. We'll see in the chorus if we shapeshift.
Yeah.
But basically, this is an episode where we wanted to sit down and record how it was that we got here. Like, we were in Hawaii. How do we get to Georgia?
Yeah.
Which is a question we get around here a lot. Why would you go from Hawaii to here? What brought you here? What's the explanation?
And it's an interesting story to talk through because we've been here 5 years. So, we haven't been here all that long. And talking through it to get to this episode has been like, oh my gosh, how did we get here? Is that one of our titles? Once we decided we were rolling, there was so much
It was a tsunami.
Energy, yes, that had to be put into it to get ready to go.
In many ways, it feels like we still just got here. Mm-hmm. And I think probably because we're kind of trying to figure out how do the Schmidts live in Northwest Georgia,
right?
In this spot. And so a lot of thought and rewind and reassess has gone into leading up to us actually talking through this episode.
We have a whiteboard in front of us so we could see it. At least it's helpful for me. I can see everything. And so as we go and we talk through it, Kevin has done a real good job of like the rough outline of maybe how we're going to talk through things.
I'll put a picture of it on the video portion or version of this podcast.
Yeah.
Just kind of notes. The major sections we got is the first one, kind of just the whole staging operation of like where we were in life when the decision arose for us to come here. And then after that, the actual decision process. And I think a big part of the story is just all the logistical things that we had to do. Mm-hmm. The mountain of getting a large family and all the stuff that we had our fingers in and making a translation to being here.
Yeah. We had to get everything to move in a certain direction.
Sequencing.
Yeah.
If you're a good engineer. And then we've got a 10,000 mile route.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
So, a couple thousand of that is flying to Seattle, but the way we went across America and then backtrack for different things on the way to get here was quite a road trip. And
it was epic.
Yeah. How can we stuff this mother full of adventure? But we're going to try to run through it kind of quick.
So, Kevin, do you want to set the stage for us?
Before our decision?
Yeah.
There were certain things going on in our life. One of them is several kids already had left the house and they were living on the mainland. They'd gone away to college and then went into the military. And Hannah was graduating. And so that was number 4 was leaving the house. And then Rachel was number 5, the middle kid. So that was coming onto the screen. And we were very separated from a giant ocean in one of the most remote places of the world. And our family is very dear to us. Another one was that this was during quarantines. And so there was lots of lockdown and a lot of people were kind of having a tough time. And one of the things about our story is that our family found ourselves to be very resilient during that time. It was a magnificent year and a half where we grew, studied, prospered. We could operate really well under those conditions. We did a lot of stuff together, gathered a lot of people.
Went to the beach a lot.
Worked out, had gatherings, but also our ministry work really proved resilient. All other ministry programs in our circle all shut down during that time. Mm-hmm. And so part of the stage was that there's no reason to leave. We weren't running away from anything. We were flourishing at the time. But then we went on a trip to the mainland, to my parents' house in Leavenworth, Kansas, and we went there for a family reunion.
Yes, it was a really big party. A lot of people came to celebrate your parents.
But being there with all the family and our kids gathering in one place, that was a different experience for us. That was the beginning of our decision making to leave Hawaii and then move back to the mainland.
Yeah, that trip, it like hit different. We had been back several times before that with our family. And not ever did I come back from those trips, even with an inkling of a desire to move back to the mainland. But for some reason, this trip, it just hit different.
What I remember were the kids observing that you could just keep on driving and not seeing an ocean, and then you could go to another town, and then you can go to another state. And they kind of had their eyes wide open. It was like they're wide-eyed, seeing the twinkle in our kids' eyes that on the mainland, if you want to, you can fly.
Yeah, I remember you saying that exactly when we got back, started discussing things. You talked about they saw that they could fly. Mm-hmm. And I think that really hit because we definitely were moving into a different stage of life. I think having so many kids, having graduated now, it was almost like, and with, Rachel right in the middle, getting ready to do her
With
last
her
2 years of
eyes
high
set on
school.
things,
Yeah. The balance like tipped. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it tipped towards the mainland because the distance is really a factor.
Part of the stage setting that we discussed too of how the kids all thrived under the quarantines. Everybody shut down. They were told to shut down, and they did. And our family was in a phase of realizing that we can do things. They were thinking about it more than ever. They were like, we were meant to fly.
Yeah, I think another thing too is there was kind of these two different things being put together because when we flew to Kansas, the environment in Hawaii was still, in 2021, was still shut down. And I think that we handled that well. We actually drew closer as a family. We did a lot of activities that living in Hawaii, I think, really helped afford us a lot of different things that we could do. But still, you got to the mainland and you realized that there was like nothing holding you back. Even though we weren't confined, there was an environment of confinement going to a place where there was more freedom to move. It's just you step out of that and you're like, oh, yeah.
So I think we made our decision on the airplane heading back.
Yeah, that's what we had a conversation on the way back. And I think that when we arrived back in Hawaii, people knew something was up.
Our staff knew.
Yeah.
They came to see us after we had been gone for a while, give report on how things were going, spend a little time with us, and they were kind of eyeing us suspiciously. And they were like, you guys are moving, aren't you?
And I mean, we told the kids, we're not really people who like decide something and then keep it like a secret forever.
There's too many.
There's too many people, too many kids, rumors, even in a family, rumors spread. So it's just better to get everything out in the open all at one time. So we,
some
we
of
told
them
them
have
pretty
the spiritual gift of spying.
well. And I think I was surprised, we told them, the kids that were still in Hawaii, that we were planning on moving, and they were not negative about it at all.
No, they had the twinkle in their eyes
Yeah.
for the mainland.
Yeah.
They were saying the mainland. So that was our decision. We're going to move.
Right. And then there's a lot that goes into moving.
The decision was not to go to a place. Like, we didn't have a spot in mind. It was the mainland. I mean, that's a big target. It was, we got to be on the mainland. And that, for me, the idea was that is where we could be nurturing a base op for our family, where we could receive back our kids for visits and where they can bounce from in order to do their next thing that is more accessible than here in the middle of the ocean that
Yeah.
stifles their immediacy to be able to go and to return. I mean, I think that was a big factor of this whole thing is the target is the mainland.
Yeah.
Thousands of square miles. There's your target. Try to hit that. That's all we were aiming for.
Well, and I was looking up places, looked at a whole bunch of different places, where could we move to, houses, cost of living, what do we want to be near? Do we want to be near oceans or mountains, desert,
what kinds of mountains?
forest,
Appalachian Mountains,
right.
Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
I wanted Montana.
Yeah, I looked at a couple places in Montana.
We looked at Arizona,
Oklahoma, going back to Texas,
North Carolina,
Tennessee,
Kentucky.
I did not look in Georgia at all.
Which is where we're at.
Where we ended
South Carolina.
Yeah.
But eventually, the way I explain it to people is that one thing that we were familiar with was the Appalachian Trail, taking the boys on it, this side or that side of it. How far north, how far south? And we kind of centered in on the idea of Chattanooga and then just kind of looking into what was Chattanooga like. And you went on a trip to check that out at one point for recon for all of us.
I ended up flying to Chattanooga. We had some family friends that lived in the area, Carol and I, and then her husband's aunt, Ellie. She was a realtor, and she took us around everywhere. So we got a really good idea of what the Chattanooga area was like. The city, we went into the city, which is really beautiful. Like not a huge city, but big enough to find things to do. And so then we just, drove around looking at places. We ended up going on a hike to this place called Edwards Point. As we were hiking, we met a couple that had their daughter with them, and come to find out that I think it's because either Carol or Barry was wearing a West Point hat, like a ball cap. And that couple had gone to West Point. And so there was this connection, and then we all started talking to each other, and they had their daughter with them who was actually just moving to the Chattanooga area to be a teacher. And so we exchanged numbers, and I think the first year we were here, I actually invited her to our house for Thanksgiving. I feel like little things like that kind of give you a little bit of a nudge that maybe you're going in the right direction. I don't know. I felt really lost actually coming here and looking at houses because I had no real tie to the community to this place at all. So I felt like that was kind of a really cool thing because there was that little bit of connection.
The whole part about trying to create a meaningful place to land is interesting to us because we're military brats, and we just, I was born in Germany, and you graduate from high school in Italy, and we went to dozens of places growing up and picked up and uprooted. We had places where our parents were living at the time, but those weren't options for us. We didn't consider those like our home. And so again, we weren't aiming for Chattanooga. Ultimately, we're aiming for the mainland. It's not in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Right.
But we had to still ship our pods
to make
somewhere.
decisions. Yeah.
So I feel like our calling that we had through all of our prayers and our discussions was to the mainland. It wasn't to Chattanooga.
Right.
It was to the mainland. But you still had to decide on a spot. And so let's go to Chattanooga. Let's mail all of our pods to it.
Yeah.
And mail ourselves to it. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do in life.
It actually felt really good to have our stuff go to a spot, though. So then you're like, okay,
now we are going there.
Right, we're going there. So we'll try this out first.
So then the big thing is logistics.
Right.
That kicks in. One of my big interests is that we were in charge of a nonprofit organization and a whole missions ministry.
Yeah. There's that part too.
Right, responsibilities and programs that affect hundreds of people at different spots on military bases. And we had full-time paid staff members, lots of volunteers, ongoing programs. All that stuff has to be considered in our own work if we're going to leave. And then, of course, who we are as a family, that's a big logistic.
Yeah, I think the thing that was on my mind is because, it was a decision I think that was going to be a surprise to people and be like, oh, okay, is that, what you have to now figure out how you're going to leave the things responsibly. It also meant our house. We had to sell our house. So there was so much. I mean, I remember you writing like lists and putting them on the walls.
The projects,
but all of
to
the
fix
projects,
up the house,
yeah.
to sell the house, bringing
Pets. We actually we had 2 cats at the time and Coco, our dog. And we ended up shipping the cats out way ahead of like 3 months before we moved to different people so that we could just pick them up on our drive along the way. And Coco went with us.
We decided to order 2 large pods. One we shipped out 6 months ahead of time.
Yes.
And so it sat in Chattanooga for 6 months, and then another one the day that we actually left. You know what we forgot to mention during part of the decision making was we pulled out a big dry erase board.
Oh, yeah.
Like we've done in the past. And we started plotting the stuff, and at some point we took a picture of it and we posted it on social media. For folks who had known us for years, they knew what that meant. I was like, are they having another kid?
Uh-oh, or what's happening?
Are they starting a new mission? Or, what is about to begin?
There was also another thing, logistically, is that you had to have a huge surgery before we left.
Right. And it wasn't on doc yet, but my inner meniscus to my knee was giving me problems. And I was trying to heal it on my own, delay getting full care for it and everything. And then all of a sudden it's like, we've got our medical care set up here. If we're going to do something about this, then the time is ticking.
Yeah.
And we might not be able to fix this on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah.
And so the MRI and all that said, this is irreparable. You can't fix this except through surgery. And what they were going to do, this was an HTO procedure where they actually had to take my tibia, the bottom part of my leg, and they broke it. They cracked it.
Ew.
They broke it so that it bent.
Awful.
And then in the bending position, then they drove rods, nuts and bolts through the leg, put a plate on it, inserted a donated bone,
You
cadavers.
really don't have to tell me all of this again.
So it was this whole one thing, and we were trying to time. We were like, do we have time to do this? And then go through like the 6-month recovery or something, and in order to get on an airplane, and also to load pods and stuff. So we had to sequence all the work and the ministry, the family logistics, that surgery. Another one was that our kid popped the question to his fiance.
Yes.
And they're going to get married in the time frame that we were going to do our move. So is there a way to go across America and converge everybody, have a wedding, and then continue our quest to Chattanooga?
Yeah, so we had to time everything out, where we were going to stay in order to get to certain points that were like fixed points.
It's exciting that we got all of that done.
Yeah.
It was not without loads of planning.
Yeah, and actually, we loaded our last pod, and do you remember we decided to have an impromptu garage sale because we did not get everything into the pod. So we just put everything out in the everything out in the yard. We didn't really want to sell it, but it was the things that we didn't necessarily need to have on the pod. Some of our neighbors from 2 streets over, up and down the street, we met for the first time.
Not our immediate neighbors.
No, I'm not talking about them. There were people, the only reason they came is because they wanted to say goodbye to us.
But they said they always prayed for us. Yeah. They considered me the mayor.
Yes, the mayor of Nicola Street.
But I also remember that because that was stuff that we wanted to keep, but we couldn't get it on the pod. People were like, this is the best garage sale ever.
Yeah, I mean, we had so many things that were there, but also I just feel like there were so many people that came to it. And I think we had people dropping by, even not our neighbors in Wahiawa, but also from other places that came and hung out with us for a bit. So actually it ended up being a really cool connection time. And I felt like it was a good closeout with our community, or like where we lived in that neighborhood.
That was very endearing. It was hard to leave Hawaii.
I think that was one of the hard things along the way. There were things that we did where you realized it was the last time you were going to do it. And each step that we took moving further away from our home, you know, whether that was being at Bellows or at the Halikoa, there was that last evening where all of the kids' friends showed up at the Halikoa, and they took their surfboards out and they surfed for the last time. And I think I sat on the beach and I just cried when they all went out into the water.
I'm thinking to it was like we couldn't get out of there.
Oh my gosh.
We kept on doing community things. I was looking at some of the photos and the dates for when those things happened and was kind of jotting them down. Hannah had the one allowed track race.
Where she had a mask on. You sent me that video. I was like, oh my gosh.
She was winning, coming across the finish line with a mask, and you're like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But then they had the graduation.
Right.
And everyone's 6 feet apart in this big, giant outdoor field. We had the commissioning for our intern who was returning to college. We had the end of the year send-offs. All the kids on the block came over. The pod was there on the last day. And then, like you were saying,
we had a party for Hannah.
Had a party for Hannah at the House of Mission. But then we stayed on the island at these very special places. We went out to Bellows. Bellows is on the east side of
the
Oahu.
Windward side, the beautiful side. It is beaches. The heavenly side of the island, and the military has
Casey's favorite beach.
Yeah, it's my favorite beach. But the military has cabins that you can stay in there, and we stayed there for like 4 or 5 days, I think.
Yeah, when we were out at Bellows, then Walt and Sue Hoskins came out and they visited us. They were visiting Hawaii.
Yeah,
and I've got a picture of him and I on the beach smoking a cigar out there together. And that's a good memory because since then, Walt has passed away.
Yeah.
And he was an amazing, man and one of my dad's best friends and stuff. But a lot of last hurrahs.
A lot of little moments like that too, where you get to kind of hang out with people. We had several people stop by.
For certain
we were
events.
Actually staying at Bellows when Hannah graduated, so we had to go back into Wahiawa.
People brought us to the airport, and I took my crutches that I had been on, and I left them in the car.
In the thinking about, you getting your
perfect.
operation, the timing was perfect. And there was even a couple of, you had the recovery, which you couldn't put any weight on it for over a month. So then we had that, and then there's like these incremental things that you can do. And it was like we get out of the car at the airport and you just leave your crutches behind.
Yeah.
And just like, yes, victory on that one.
So this starts our 10,000-mile route. And I think we ought to just kind of run through it because it was an adventure. It was kind of a go to here and then backtrack, redirect, get there.
This is the part that would be really actually kind of fun to have our kids like opinions on, because they have opinions about the places that we stopped that are interesting.
That would make it a 3-hour.
Yeah, that would make it a long time. But our first stop was Seattle. Landed in Seattle. The kids have this memory because I knew that we were going to have a lot of suitcases and our dog, where I ordered cars to pick us up and take us to our hotel. And we're standing out on the curb of the airport, and these 2 huge black, I think they were Escalades, drive up to the curve, and these men in sunglasses and dressed really nice, they get out.
You have arrived to the mainland.
And my kids are like, ooh, who is this? Is there someone famous? And they walk up to me and they ask me what my name was, because I texted them a description. I said, we're like the big family. And they're like, Mrs. Schmidt. And my kids look at me and they are like so excited to get to drive in these Escalades back to our hotel. So that was pretty cool. And also Coco seeing us again. Like, she was crazy.
I have been on an airplane a million times, and there's usually animals on them, I'm sure.
Yes, that you
This
don't
is
hear.
the only flight I've ever heard an animal. Coco barked the entire time,
That poor girl.
hours and hours across the ocean, and it was the talk of the entire airplane. It's like, whose dog is that? That poor dog. That poor dog.
It was so sad, and
She was so
we all
happy to
knew
see
it
us.
was Coco. You could just tell.
And one cat we mailed to Florida, and one, who did the other cat go to? Jordan
Jordan in
in
Colorado.
Denver.
Yeah.
Right. We land there and see, I get in the hotel. Next day, we're picking up the van. So 2 weeks before all this, we shipped
we
the
shipped
van
our
to
van.
Seattle because we're gonna load up the van with all these suitcases and humans. Well, really, we ordered a trailer. While we're still in Hawaii, they call us up and they're like, we had to cancel the trailer. There aren't any available. So I ordered another one. It got canceled. Ordered another one. It got canceled.
Right.
And all these trailers, turns out they're not available.
So we had to drive with all of our suitcases in our van.
And so the thing is that everybody was moving away from the West Coast,
Yes.
inland, during quarantines at that time. And so they were renting trailers and they're all going one direction. No one was coming back the other direction.
Yeah.
And so all of these trailer rentals were waiting for them to come back to the coast. And so we were kind of prepared. We're going to have to be sitting on top of suitcases with 3 months supply of stuff and animals and humans.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what we got.
Yeah, we ended up shipping a couple of our van chairs in the pods so that
Right.
we did have some space, for like to lay and stack suitcases and all that. But that was interesting. They were all kind of crammed in there a little bit at the beginning of our journey. Seattle was not my favorite. I don't think it was the kids' favorite. It was kind of dreary. Definitely still in like COVID mode in 2021. So there were hardly any tourists there. It smelled. I mean, it was actually really sad. I grew up being a teenager in the 90s and always wanted to go to Seattle because of, grunge music, because of the movie Singles. I loved that movie. But anyway, you get there and I was like so sad. I was like, this city looks so sad. So it'd be kind of cool to go back there someday to see
We went to the fish
more
market.
active. Yeah, we went to the fish
docks
market.
and stuff
Our
like
hotel was close enough that we could walk,
Yeah.
to all those stuff. We let the girls walk themselves to a thrift store. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but they made it. Had a couple good restaurants there. Drank coffee, of course.
that. So we've got on this chart here, we went from Seattle, we drove through Idaho, Missoula, Montana. I think we stayed there in a swim pool. But we visited Three Forks.
Oh, that was
the head
fun.
of the Missouri River
Yeah,
and other rivers.
The Missouri, where it starts. That was really beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful land. I remember
Coco loved that too.
she loved a chance to run around, but she was sticking close to that van too.
Yeah.
She knew that we might just
Leave
drive
her,
away,
lock her up and,
release her into the
oh
wild.
yeah, poor girl. I think she was,
But one thing I noticed is that when all these gas stations and hotels, as we were moving away from the coast, people were less aggressive about us not having a mask on.
right.
And you're like, okay, you're moving out of that area into the everyone's land.
Right. We got to Idaho and it was like freedom.
I didn't feel like it was like that until we got to South Dakota.
Oh, I don't know. I
And then
felt
it
in
started
Idaho.
again until we got to Tennessee. But I was the guy getting the gas and the drinks inside and stuff. So I probably just had a different crowd that I ran into than you.
We stopped at Devil's Tower after going to Casper, Wyoming, where we stopped and hung out with some really close family friends of ours. Well, I call them aunt and uncle, the Peters, and that was fun. I guess we can't really skip Yellowstone. I skipped Yellowstone, but we went to Yellowstone.
We were very excited to see as we're driving in that the buffalo were fighting.
Yes, they were fighting, and then there were times they
Yellowstone
were
was awesome.
walking along the road, so you'd pass by really close, to the bison. And we saw Old Faithful. The kids thought that was really actually. I don't think they even really knew what
Like,
they
what
were,
in the
because we
world?
sat around for like 45 minutes or so, and there's people gathering, and by the end more people are gathering, and I think especially Delilah, she's like, what are we waiting for? And I was like, well, we're going to see Old Faithful. And she's like, what do you mean? So like when she saw it, she was like, oh, that's it. I don't think she really in her mind understood what it was we were waiting for, but
I was surprised at how much I loved Mount Rushmore.
yeah,
That
that was really
awesome.
great.
All the work that they had done to do that, the stories behind building the monument. Then from there we went through the Badlands, right?
Right.
And then up into South Dakota to Mobridge. And that is where our first major destination
First family
really was.
reunion started, where the party started.
That's because that's where Jacob and Mercedes are getting married. That's gonna be their wedding. And it was really neat that we had friends from all over the country, different spots that went that distance. Everybody visiting us on the middle of our homeless adventure to a new home.
Also, what I thought was cool is these two families kind of coming together
And meeting each other
for the first time, and really, like, I think clicking
When
and
we're
jiving.
homeless.
Yeah. And so it was kind of a unique and fun experience because, a lot of people came from far distances to kind of meet up in this one point in this small town in South Dakota, and it was just really, really fun. The other thing is before we even moved from Hawaii, we were planning the rehearsal dinner, and Robin had suggested we use the place that was right next to the Pheasant Cove. And so we started talking to the guy, what was it? Kevin. Yes, that's right, another Kevin. And he said that they did a Mongolian barbecue, and we thought it sounded great. But in the back of my mind, and so we decided to do that they would do that. So we had this whole restaurant to the whole wedding party. And in the back of my mind, I was like, how is Mongolian barbecue going to taste in a small town in South Dakota? And it was amazing.
Yeah, it was
ended
the
up
best
being
rehearsal dinner food I've ever had.
Yeah, it was
He did
so
a
good.
magnificent job. Everybody was like, where did you get this stuff?
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was really great.
But the wedding itself was cool too. It was really, really beautiful.
Awesome.
We had a really good time.
And so this is the first time we're meeting our in-laws, but also on this whole trip, we're homeless.
Yes.
Our kids have journals. They're writing something every day about the stops, about their thoughts. And one thing I recall is we had all these study groups at different sites going on in Hawaii, still under our other staff that took over. And I was still recording backstory and overview videos that they would watch at the beginning of all their different gatherings. And I was in contact with people. I was taking phone calls from folks who didn't know that we had left, and explaining that and connecting with the leaders, sending new content. And at the same time, we're still looking forward to where we're going to meeting up with a realtor and doing the house searching when we get to Chattanooga.
Right.
And so we're homeless, on the move, doing a wedding, a little bit of a identity crisis, and reaching backwards and forwards all at the same time. It's this moving Schmidt thing through the continent.
Another good thing that happened in South Dakota is that you were able to get a U-Haul
We
trailer.
finally got a U-Haul. That's right.
And so then we were able to put our suitcases and things, and also Jacob and Mercedes' wedding gifts, because they asked us if we would
bring it to their
them.
home in Michigan.
Right. Because they were going to leave the wedding and go on their honeymoon. And so the timing worked out that we could take their stuff
Isn't that crazy?
and drop it off at their little house in at Hillsdale. So
the sequencing again is just awesome.
yeah.
So we got the trailer there, loaded all that up, and we're like, now head to Michigan because they fly off and they go on a honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to go back and finish up college at Hillsdale in Michigan. At the same time, we're going to pull in and stay with them, dump off all the stuff. And then from there, we continue on
To Wheaton,
Illinois, to look at Wheaton College.
drove
visit
through
that for
Chicago.
Rachel.
The kids thought that was amazing. They were like, "Whoa, these tall buildings." Went to Wheaton. We did a campus tour.
Both great schools, visiting Hillsdale and Wheaton. I'm looking at this line here, and we go through more than half of the states. See that list down on the left?
Oh my gosh! Oh yeah, you
We
should
went
read
through
that.
all of those states: Hawaii, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, because we went up and we picked up David at the airport, who flew in, Iowa, Minnesota. What is that? Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and eventually we're going to go to Florida, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Colorado. Did we go through Louisiana?
No, we did not
Okay,
do
I put that in
Louisiana.
question mark.
Did we go through Mississippi?
Yes.
Okay.
From Florida on our way up to Colorado.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. We kind of did that.
That's why I thought we might have gone through Louisiana just a little bit.
Actually, now I'm thinking about because I know we went through Mobile.
Louisiana's right there next to Gulf Breeze on the left.
Yeah.
And I think we
Okay,
I
so
think
we
went
may have.
left and then
Yeah,
up.
I think we maybe did go through Louisiana. Anyway, yeah, that's a lot of states. Wow.
So now we're going through the Great Lakes. And we come down. I mean, people we visited, Jay, George, Sarah, went and visited
Chicago.
DeRosie's.
Yeah, in Ohio.
In Ohio, and Terry.
Got to see Terry. Yep.
In Cincinnati, drove through Kentucky, and we pulled into Chattanooga on June 12th. And I think it was May 17th is when our actual trip started. It was moving out of the house on May 17th.
So we're almost a month into it.
And we roll into Chattanooga,
Yeah.
get a hotel. And our plan,
Our plan is we're going to meet up with Ellie and go through a bunch of houses, see a bunch of houses.
she quit on
So
us
much
after a
so,
while.
I think that we wore her out and we were like, well, we'll just set them up. We'll go look at them.
We told her we're going to look at 5 houses every day.
Yeah.
I think she was
We were
like,
on
"Ha, ha,
fire.
ha," and she stuck with us for a few days. And then you tell us which house to go, and we'll go look at that one. We're here to find a house in 7 days
Yeah. Yeah,
in
that was our goal.
Chattanooga. Even where you couldn't go visit the house, we went and visited it anyhow.
And we, our 7 days was almost up and we didn't really find anything. And that was a little distressing. But the housing market was crazy. All those people moving.
Nothing was what we were looking for. I thought that
Right.
after 2 days, and even just looking at 10 houses, and we had there weren't just any 10 houses. We had done a lot of search. I was like, I don't think we're going to find a house.
I know. It started to get kind of distressing.
The living areas, too,
Right.
for houses. You couldn't see outside of the trees, or it was on a hill, for the size that we're looking for.
That you had to go up a really windy road to get to. Yeah. Not finding what we were really looking for.
Yeah. And those 5 days were kind of like, I felt like it was tick, tick, tick. It was like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else for you to do in life right now.
Right? You
There's
gotta find
nothing
that house.
else except to find a house and move into the house. There's nothing else to do in life but find the house. You're not going to find it. And at the same time, we had that list, educations center, potential place for ministry and work, sports. All those things were just kind of shed away.
Right.
And we were like, how about all we do is look for a house?
Right. It was like the whole list of things that you desire, just like crumple,
Just find
crumple,
a house.
crumple.
And it wasn't that long. We were only
No.
there for a week.
Yeah.
But
we were
had-
on a timeline
and
for
we
sure.
were intense and thinking ahead. But it was about, where is a house, any house? When we get there, when we move into it, then we're going to figure out our life after that. And that was that was another, I think that's a remarkable note of attitude or perspective that we had. I don't know, good or bad, but we're going to move into the house and then we're going to figure out what we're going to do in life.
Yeah, that could go either way. It could be good or bad. And it was the house was important to me. That it was going to be
It's the whole reason that we had decided to
it was
do
going to
this.
be where we set up the rest of our life. I mean,
For kids to come to,
for kids
and
to come
bounce
to,
from,
like a home
a
base,
support system.
something we had not ever really had before, but a home base for the family to grow, for college students to come home to for the holidays, and for some, it was just there was this
Here's a question:
this picture.
is can you take everything that you are, what you know, what your experience is, what you would like to do, and just drop it anywhere, and then make it
that's
work?
a good question. Yeah.
And that's what we believed we could do.
Well,
we
we
could
had-
believe we could just drop it anywhere.
We had done that before.
I felt like this was different.
Well, this was different in
I feel like it was very unlike moving to Hawaii. Hawaii, we were very
no, it
we
was
were
more like
specifically
moving
aiming
to
for something.
Austin.
We did that, and that's true.
Yeah.
This was like, and we did an episode on that. Is rolling into
It reminded
Round
me
Rock.
of that. And I'm like, man, we're like so much older now. Shouldn't we know
Brass,
better?
we did it again.
Oops, we did it again.
That would be a good title.
Yes, give me more. I would love that.
Oops, we did it again.
Yeah.
Because I remember on that episode, we
Totally.
were like, what were we thinking? Why did we do it to this way?
Yeah.
Do we think that we are someone who could just take everything we are, what we know, what we experience, what we want to do, and just plop, just drop it anywhere and see if it works out?
Do you know what we proved? That you can do it when you have no children, and you can do it when you have a lot of children.
And responsibilities, that you
Responsibilities.
can't just drop.
Oh, man.
Can you drop it in the middle of nowhere then? But the question is, did we really prove it?
Well, maybe we didn't.
Here we are 5 years in. Did we really show it?
Maybe not.
But oops, we did it again. I
We
like
did
that.
it again, yeah.
So we did not find a place in Chattanooga.
No, we did not. We decided to extend our search radius in our search, and we did that, and there was this house in Northwest Georgia that popped up.
After we visited Alabama,
Right.
also Northeast Alabama.
That's right. Oh my
And
gosh.
we kind of started looking up towards Knoxville, or halfway up, and
Yeah.
towards Nashville. But
We
yeah,
were like,
sorry, your house.
what net? What
Yeah.
can we scoop out from the net? Yeah, I
So
kind
you
of.
started looking in Georgia.
Well, it wasn't even that I looked in Georgia. It was just I extended the radius out from Chattanooga, 100 miles,
House search.
50 miles. I don't know what. But this house popped up, and it was like one of those things where you're like, now this is too good to be true. You drove by it?
Yeah, because the realtor was like, the people said you're not welcome to go, and we went anyhow. We looked at it and we're like,
Well, I
we got to
think
check this out. But you came with us the next day.
the
when
next
we
day,
could go in.
right? I think that you guys did drive by it, but there was a reason I stayed, and I think I remember one of the kids had a fever.
Oh yes, I remember that.
I think
Okay.
it may have been Delilah. So I ended up staying at the hotel, and you got in the car with some of the kids and went and looked at it. But then you came back and you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely a house that we
We got to check it out.
we got to check it out.
It's on 2.5 acres, top of a hill.
Yes. So no, not in the forest. We got a really pretty view of the Appalachian
Looks like
Mountains.
a wraparound deck.
It has a wraparound porch. It looks like a farmhouse, really.
It looks like a house that the Schmidts would love
Yeah.
to live in, and lots of room to do stuff outside because we're outside all the time. And we walk in, and I remember everyone is whispering,
Yes.
this is
Yep.
it.
Yep. You just feel you walk in the front door and you're like, oh my gosh, this is our house. And another really cool thing is that I dreamt about this house, and I didn't really realize that I dreamt about it. But I walked into the kitchen. There's a big over the sink. There's a big picture window that looks out to the view mountains. And when I walked in the kitchen and I was standing in front of the sink looking at the mountains, I realized that I had had a dream about the kitchen. It like hit me like on top of the head. I was like, oh my gosh, this was like in my dream. I've not ever really had anything like that happen before, but I had seen that.
Our house in Hawaii, it had this upper dining room with a big window, and every night the sun would set on the Waianae Mountains. And this window, what you're talking about, it was like the other side of the rainbow.
Yep.
Every morning the sun would come up over Grassy Mountain and over Fort Mountain.
I'm going to look up that scripture that talks about moving the mountain.
All right.
Jesus answered them, "Truly I say to you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, it will happen. And whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith." Like loosely, I was thinking about the throwing of the mountain into the sea is what made it rise out our view. It's not really
No, I
the
remember
literal translation, but
when you read the story, you're like, what is it talking about?
how do you
Why would you want to take a mountain and put it in the sea? But I remember before we left that when we were packing everything up, at some point you pointed to that mountain and the sunset on it, and you're like, how do I pack that up?
Yeah.
You're like, how do I pack that up? And you told me about your dream of looking out that window and seeing that scene. You told me about that for the first time after you actually saw it. I guess that made you recall your dream. But we were still in Hawaii when you talked about that passage in Matthew about having faith and the mountain could get packed up. And you could tell it to go be in a different place across the sea. And I love that in Hawaii, the sun set on the mountains, and here the sun rises on the mountains. You threw it to the other side. Other side of the rainbow is like right here.
The reason why it caught my attention is because that is a verse that I'm always like, what does that even mean? And it was kind of like in the context of
We did
our
it.
move. I was like, oh my gosh,
We did it.
God totally gave me, he drug the mountains from Hawaii and gave them to me.
We had the faith of a mustard seed.
Right.
How big's your faith? Well, it's at least a mustard seed.
Yeah. Anyway.
And it works.
Yep.
While we're going through the house, the realtor is trying to figure out, what you guys want to see next. In my mind, I'm like, how am I going to get this house? How am I going to clinch this? And the seller's realtor was there. So the seller was actually there, which is very rare. And so the owner of the house was there. He wanted to see which family was going to be in their house. And they had prayed a lot about who was going to take their house after them. In fact, that we became friends with them afterwards and had them over, and they eventually moved away. But they said that they had prayed and prayed and prayed, and that they had this house that was too much for them. And they felt that God specifically told them that they were there to hold it down until the right ones came along. And at some point, while he's showing everybody through the house with our realtor, I take his realtor and I say, can you walk out here on the porch? I felt like I needed to clinch this. I was like, this is what we've been looking for. And I asked her, I said, is this house, will they say yes to an offer if I say this amount? And she goes, yes. And she was speaking also from the owner talking with her when they encountered our family coming in. So she was ready to sell this house to us. And I said, and on the contract, if these were all the conditions, would the answer still be yes? And she goes, yes. And I said, then we'll be submitting that. How long would it take? And she said, you guys are going to need 45 days. So we do all of that out of turn of what it's supposed to be done like. And when we're going through the house, we go outside with our realtor, and she's like, "So it looks like you guys might be interested. Would you like to put in an offer?" And I said, "Already got the details worked out. It's going to be this amount. These are the conditions. Blah blah blah." She was like, "What have you been doing?" You know. But I felt like that was a very fortunate and special moment that God kind of arranged our whole family to be there. A huge moment of confirmation of all the sequencing that we have come to the right place. We didn't know the details that would follow from it, but I think it's important for us to remember what all that was about, what all happened, the convergence and the answers to prayer. It was a very special visitation to the house.
Oh, definitely. From the moment you drove up the driveway, you just felt like this anticipation. I think the only thing was how many bids did this house have on it? What were we going to have to pay over asking? You know, all of those things. And then that moment where you spoke to their realtor and that connection, it just all fell into sequence, which is our word of the podcast, I guess. Now you have a spot for all your things to actually be delivered to. God just knew I needed like a farmhouse with the view of the mountains, which were like the flip side of my Hawaii mountains. I never imagined that I would have a view again. Like that was the furthest thing from my mind.
So we get told, go away for 45 days. So this extends our road trip.
By a good amount. Well, we go to Florida.
Stay with your sister
and we're there through the 4th of July. And then we decide to go to Colorado.
Before that, we have folks in our ministry.
That's right.
Getting married in North Carolina. So we jump in the van, drive all the way back here and up into North Carolina, go to a wedding, and then go all the way back down to Florida. Drive through the other states. We go to Hayes, Kansas, the family farm. We might have stopped in Leavenworth to see my folks for the first time. And then we go to Colorado, and we stay with my sister and brother-in-law. We visit my 2 growing up youth ministers. We visit Jordan in Denver.
One of my memories from Colorado was from your sister and brother-in-law's house. We could walk to the Garden of the Gods. They
were within walking.
Yes.
We just walked into the Garden of the Gods.
Yes. We went through this trail through a neighborhood, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're surrounded by red rocks, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And the kids loved that. That was a lot of fun.
We picked up stuff along the way too. In Florida, we picked up one of the cats.
That's true. Yep, we had a cat.
In Colorado.
Who my sister almost didn't want to give back, by the way. She fell in love with him.
In Colorado, we picked up our kitchen table.
Yes. And another cat, because it was there that we got Hazel.
That Jordan had.
Yep. There's another thing about Colorado I remember. When we went to that ropes course that like hung over the cliff, and Malia was gonna do this, and she got so scared, and she like crawled down.
She couldn't go up on the high rope.
She couldn't go up on
the highest level.
Yeah, we were like on our way back, and I think you had talked to her about it a little bit.
She had regrets.
She had a lot of regrets. So the next day we went back so she could get over that fear. She could do it. She could face it head on.
Part of that was that I had to do it.
Yeah.
Which is my greatest fear.
Yeah, right.
It's like jumping off the cliff with you on the big island. Yeah. And then it was come back. It was time to check into the house and to actually make it ours. So we get back. We stay in Dalton one night, and the next day we move in. We moved in on the 6th, received our stuff on the 8th, bought my 0 turn on the 10th.
That's one of our first purchases, yes. Very important.
For the big yard. And then August 12th is our anniversary. Watching the meteor shower in our new house in Northwest Georgia.
That was a good anniversary present.
So that's the story of how we got to Georgia.
What big aha or takeaway do you have when you look at this story, and now that we've gone and talked about it, what do you take away from it?
It's very much like, oops, we did it again. Rolling into Austin or Round Rock. It was rolling into Austin. That's when we were like, what have we done?
Yeah.
But just the destination didn't have a thing that we were really aiming for.
Right.
I mean, we were aiming for Austin back then. And this one, it was the mainland where we could have access to supporting our kids. But it was leaving the most important thing in my entire life outside of the family humans. And there's another story after this about what it means for us to come to Georgia. And that's not for this episode, but this was the move to it. This was how we completed the final chapter of Hawaii and started a new book called Georgia.
Yeah.
And one of the things that sticks out to me is that we left everything and everything we were and what we built and all that. What remained? What remained was
Our family.
Yeah. That's who, and it sort of answered the question, and so who are we? We're none of this other stuff. Ultimately, we are Kevin and Casey, and we are this family that can pick up, be dropped anywhere. And I know because that's what we decided before doing it to do. That's what's important to us. We're going to find a community and we're going to build faith community in it, wherever it might be. But we are Kevin and Casey and we are our kids, and that was our original motivation.
I would agree.
That's your lesson learned.
Thank you. Oh, man. The last 5 years have been really good, but in some ways also really difficult, because you're right. It was like this transitional thing that started the second half of our life. As much as like getting here, it was a long journey and a trek. Once we landed, it was like kind of bumpy. So, and we don't have to add that. I'm just thinking through stuff.
But what about that right there?
When I look at this board, it's a time with our family and our kids. We still talk about it that I'll always treasure. It's almost like a treasure map. I don't know. So much stuff that we did, seeing it all. I mean, that's not even all of it, but seeing things written out in our adventures and our travels. To me, it's kind of a go back through just memory lane and remember how enjoyable, how much I enjoy my family and how much I love spending time with them and how much of an adventure we had together. I'm glad we did it that way. And just, even though we didn't know what we were going to end up with, it made it an adventure. And I think that was really important. I can't imagine flying from Hawaii to Chattanooga and then moving into a house and not having that, all of that adventure.
What's a different way to do this? Stop your work, sell your house, move into an apartment for 6 months, go job search, go find your house, find it, fly everyone there. You could just skip all this.
That would be so sad.
Like,
I don't know. We're not going to skip it.
that van was
Chewbacca.
it was the Chewbacca.
Yeah.
It was the tabernacle moving through the wilderness in stages.
Yes.
This was the tabernacle move.
Our van still has sand from Hawaii,
Rust from the
dirt
salt water,
dirt
and the
from-
red dirt.
from all of the states in the northern part of the United States. It's sand from Florida, rocks. I mean, we brought rocks with us from places that we went. It's got pieces of everywhere we've been.
I feel like this has to be a story A of a story B.
Yeah.
is, and so what about this place? And we may not be ready to tell that story.
It's not really finished yet.
That's not even finished.
Yeah.
So maybe in a year or two, there'll be a Georgia Part B. Well, did we do it?
We did it.
All right. Peace out.
Bye.